Hello, 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 and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I am in a phone booth today. Look at this. I don't know how I got here, but I'm actually a crazy person's room. I'm here at the Keegley offices because I'm doing the No One Left Behind challenge, and so moving from one room to the next, trying to make sure we're serving people, getting people introduced to what this real estate stuff is and what it all entails. Well, when you're doing this stuff, you have to be incredibly nimble and constantly pivoting. So I'm in a phone booth. See. But no excuses, man. I wanted to make sure we have this amazing podcast with the Tracy Koa. Tracy Koa has such a great focus. Her Mount Everest is amazing. And if you guys are out there learning about what Mount Everest is, well, then you'll want to watch this podcast, because she's going to tell you how she's using co-living and a lot of her real estate strategies to help other people in the space, not just the people who get to live in co-living, but other people looking to get into investing. So without further ado, let's bring up Tracy Koa. Hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing. I love you were talking about pivoting. I always say to people, if you don't know how to pivot gracefully, you cannot do real estate.
Even if you can't pivot gracefully, look at this. This is not graceful hair, graceful boots.
Graceful, like as in our attitude. Like you just gotta roll with it. Yeah.
You gotta roll with the punches.
No, I haven't I hear you. Probably haven't washed it in a couple of days. Yeah, because I'm busy like changing lives, right? Who cares what my hair looks like?
Exactly. So tell me, Tracy, I am privileged to have you be around me. We're in each other's lives more or less because of Owners Club. Yeah. So this is your second year of Owners Club too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So does this mean you've been working on your Mount Everest for 2 years? Did you pivot there too? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. So in Owners Club, when we started about this time last year, we were given the task of creating a larger vision, which we called a Mount Everest. So, kind of a 5-year thing. And I came into Owners Club actually as a full-time private money lender, doing a lot of connecting, raising capital for other people, all that good stuff. And I had a business partner, and we joined Owners Club thinking that's what we wanted to do, is learn how to grow this business. And so we get the Mount Everest task and we sit down, and I'm walking through the challenge of it. And I thought, I don't really want to be doing this in 5 years. Like, this is what I learned is that is how I was making active income. Different than this Mount Everest, which is a crazy idea that maybe seems impossible, but with the support of PACE and the community, we can make it happen. Right. And so right out of the gate, I pivoted like instantly. But I was still, had to do my active income and working on the new goal. So yeah, I would say probably about September of last year, October of last year is when I just went full in 100%, started working with my partner, Dustin Jarosky, and we had a similar vision. And so we kind of combined forces. Since we've brought on our partner, Kaipo Cordera, he's also in Owners Club, and the three of us are just going for it. And it's awesome. Like we have fortunately been able to learn how to bring our active income combined with our Mount Everest. So that's very cool because we can grow our Mount Everest quicker that way. Yeah.
So do you feel like you have your Mount Everest liners down? Like when people were asking me, I'd be like, boom, boom, let's do it. All right, Tracy.
100%. So our vision is, are you ready?
Yeah. I was like, hold on. I want to set it up. Okay. Tracy, what is your Mount Everest?
Our vision is to empower 10,000 investors in a shared journey to co-living ownership. So we're offering expert insight, cultivating connection, impact, and a sense of purpose as we build our wealth and community together.
I love it. Very good. So you said in how many investors?
Oh, just 10,000.
10,000. And then how long?
5 years is our goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. So I'm going to turn to my whiteboard, which you can't see, but on my whiteboard, so 10,000 investors on a typical project. Let's just say we bring in 20 investors on a project, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so per deal, and then you think there's 7 people on average in a home. So that brings us to about 500 homes with 3,500 people we're serving in the homes. And that 500 homes gets us to about 10,000 investors. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
So you work that math. I love it.
You got to get really crystal clear is what I learned. If you've got a goal, you've got to get wicked clear for a couple of reasons. One, you have to start to visualize what that looks like. Like, what does a day in my life owning 500 homes look like?
Mm-hmm.
You need to get clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can kind of reverse engineer from there. That's how I do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Bruce just asked, can she compare this to fractional investment?
Yeah. Bruce, are you talking about fractional itself, like the company fractional, or just fractional investing?
That's a good question.
I don't know if he can.
Actually, it's totally up to you. We can actually invite people up here if they want. So if you guys are out in the chat and you want to join me and Tracy, we're going to gracefully pivot.
I love it.
So he said investment with you.
Okay. So we do fractional. We do 2 different types of ways that people can invest with us. All of them are equity partnerships. You are on the LLC with us. You're on the HUD. The reason we do that is we truly want to support investors learning how to grow and build a profitable co-living portfolio. One of the things every investor needs is a resume. When you go to get a loan, literally on our last loan, myself and my 2 partners, we had to write up our resume, our real estate resume, and submit that for the loan. So that includes owning real estate. So one, right out of the gate, you're an equity partner. You truly own the real estate with us. You're on the HUD. Boom, check. I own real estate. We do some of our projects, especially our larger ones. We keep it small, and we bring on investors that have 50, 100,000, and we bring 3, 4 tops 5 investors on. On other projects, because we do want to serve 10,000 people, we open it up to fractional investing, where you can bring in as little as $5,000. That's a great way for people just getting going. You can use, if you've got an IRA or 401k, if they're not already, we can help you learn how you can set that up into a self-directed IRA. So now you're using your IRA, instead of investing in the stock market, you're investing in real estate. So you can bring $5,000. We use a company called Fractional. They help us manage having 20, 30 investors on a project. They do a lot of the back end stuff. They create the entity for us. They do the distributions, all that good stuff. So when we're doing those fractional investments, that's how we do that. We use that company called Fractional, and that allows us to have 20, 30 investors on a project. Again, still equity, still owning.
Yeah. I have a question about that. So like, why co-living as the asset you're using? Like, why is that the strategy in helping other folks becoming, like, why not multifamily, for example?
Yeah. And I own multifamily. I own various different assets. But when I was looking more for my Mount Everest and thinking about these long-term goals, I really was thinking about how can I serve not just myself, but other people and investors, right? How do I do this larger? I personally had an experience with being homeless. When I was a youth, I left home at 15. I lived on the streets for a minute because I couldn't find anywhere to live. And it was finding the way that I got ahead in life was finding individuals that had some faith in me. They believed in me. And they either put me up in their own home, they gave me a room, or they helped. One gal, kind of was like a reference for me, got me into what is old school boarding house, right? That's co-living, right? But without those opportunities, I have no idea where my life would go. Those housing is that's it, right? You need food and housing. Otherwise, you don't feel safe. And if you're not safe, you can't move forward in life. So it was once I found housing and I felt secure that I could kind of breathe and go, okay, Tracy, okay, you're safe. Like you're safe at night. Now what's next? And so for me, co-living was, once I started learning more about it as a business model, it was like a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
this is it. Yep.
Because you saw the benefit of having affordable housing available to you as a young person. I can only imagine. My daughter's 15 right now. My heart just kind of sank to
I
hear you
know.
say
It was hard.
how young you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It was really hard. And our co-living, that wouldn't necessarily help a 15-year-old, but what is cool is that we are helping teach other investors how to underwrite projects and co-living homes that they want to use for kids that age out of foster care, and incarcerated folks that are in a transition. So by creating this opportunity that is open up to supporting investors, we're organically helping those as well, those people as well, and those projects. So the way we do that, I didn't really touch on this, is that when somebody invests with us, whether you're the 5,000 or the 100,000, you now are an owner on a project with us, and you have access to us and our whole team. We've got a big team, and we want to help teach you all the ins and the outs and help answer questions that you may have. You own it with us, so now you're in the conversations as we're going through rehab. You're learning about the lending process. You're seeing the ups and the downs and the mistakes, and you're going through the underwriting. And so our goal is, we're not doing a mastermind. We're not doing a workshop. We're not saying pay us more money. We're just saying invest with us, make money on your money. And it's like a bonus to just learn alongside of us.
Yeah. Well, it's the squat up method of learning, because it's so hard when you do go to like a mastermind or a workshop, because you're boxed into what you're going to learn about. But when you're hands-on and you have to learn to gracefully pivot, that's way different than looking at a spreadsheet that says, here's what the output's supposed to look
100%.
like. Yeah.
And it gives you the sense of, and that's not just a sense, you have the support. It's like when you're standing at a cliff and you need to jump, right? You can do it alone, or you can bring people along. And it's a lot better to have, you're holding hands with a couple of people looking at each other like, holy crap, we're going for it, than doing it by yourself. And that's what it's about, is we're building relationships and community within this little community of our partnership. And we're hopeful that people are going to get the confidence and feel empowered to go out and do this, maybe not on their own, or even better, with somebody else they met on another project they're invested on with. So, yeah.
That's very cool. So, we're not only on YouTube, we're also on Instagram, and somebody asked the question there, although I'm trying to redirect people. So if you're on Instagram, come to YouTube. You're going to be able to interact with us two different ways. Yeah. You can use the chat to ask your questions and I can live see it. Or I've also shared the link where you can actually click on that link, come onto the platform up here. So your screen, and I want you guys to use your camera if you're going to come on board, and then you can ask myself or Tracy some questions. So, Tracy, how many properties have you now acquired since you've now gotten crystal clear and you're like, this is what I'm passionate about?
Yeah, great question. So 3 properties and 1 new build. So one of the things that was really important to us when we decided to move forward on this model was making sure we had a team ready to go, because we've seen a lot of people with an amazing idea and they put it out there, but they don't have a team ready to go. And next thing you know, they're exploding, but they can't live up to the promises that they're making, right? And we did not want that to happen. We wanted to make sure that, hey, if we're doing this together, let's get our ducks in a row. And so prior to going out and looking for our first acquisition, we actually had a team in place ready to go. We had our operator, we had our back-end guy who does all our funnels. We had our lending liaison who helps us with our credit sponsors. And we had a pad split representative who we wanted. We knew that would be really important. And so we had all that in place. And then we felt good. We all had our roles and our responsibilities. And then we said, okay, let's go. We hit the ground running. In our first 30 days, we acquired, first 30 days, we acquired 3 properties right out of the gate. Yeah, so that was great, and we were able to do that because we were jamming already. We had worked together for a minute. We knew what we were working on. And of course, we worked through lots of kinks, as always, lots of pivoting. And then we just closed the other day on a piece of land for a new build that we're going to be doing in Texas. And so we're super excited about that. But I think the team is huge, having a team in place. When you talk about your vision, right? When you were like, what's your, you need to, let's go. You've got to be so passionate and so clear about your vision. We talked about on my whiteboard how we reverse engineered it. When we're reaching out to people that we're hopeful want to be on our team, we're saying, hey, like, so are you cool working on commission? And we're going to all work for a little bit with no money. And, fingers crossed, going to work out and you're going to get paid. You can't be like that. It's got to be crystal clear. They need to believe in you. And that's how we built such a strong team, is they believed in us. They thank us. I'm like going, I cannot do this without you. And they're saying the same thing. They're like, thank you for letting me be on your team. Mm-hmm. So that comes out of our passion and the time that we invested in being really clear with our vision and our long-term goals.
Yeah. Part of, I was being groomed for like executive leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, one of the important things that you have to be able to do is vision cast. And so if your vision isn't big enough or comprehensive enough for somebody else to live their goals and their passions within your vision, yes, then you're going to fail. There's just, if not failure, you don't have the right person on your team. Yes. So I love how you have such a strong emphasis on what does that look like, because it's important. It's very important.
I think that's I just want to touch on that. That's a super, super solid point, actually. Our operator, exactly. She loves, she was trying to grow her business. And so part of the conversation was, how can we help you grow your business, right? Like, what does that, and does that feel good for you? Because we really, if we're going to do this together, we need you to be like number one. And obviously you're going to need assistance. We want to make sure that you have the right assistance in place. And then on top of that, you still want to do your other business. Does this all align with your goals? And how do we help you get there? And that conversation, she's like, yes, 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 and yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Bruce has a really good question. He said, what about finding properties? Is there space or request for bird dogs or who find these great deals?
Oh, great question, Bruce. We just, we do free office hours, my team, 2 days a week. That's a question that comes up a lot, is finding properties, right? How do you, how do you source, the deals? We have a kind of a different model, and we personally, we have some relationships we've spent a couple years building. And so we're getting our deal flow that way. But if you're just getting involved in co-living, I think a couple of things. One, reach out, get out there, put your word out there, get really clear on what you want, right? You can't put a post out and say, oh, I want a multifamily and I want some co-living and I'm open to anything, right? People are going to look at that and go, that guy doesn't know what he wants. Get clear on what you're looking for. Get that out there. Let people know you're looking for bird dogs. You're looking for people to bring you deals. But take the time to have a conversation. In my experience, get on a quick Zoom. It doesn't need to be an hour. It can be 15 minutes. Just connect with each other. Walk them through your vision. They're going to remember you better, right? So when they're out looking for deals for you, they're going to know Bruce. They're going to go, man, I like Bruce. He's so cool. I love his vision. I really want to go find him an opportunity. As far as our team, no, we don't have any bird dog opportunities. We have other ways that investors can get involved with little to no money, but not bird dogging. But again, if you're looking for real estate for co-living, get on any Zooms that you possibly can. We've got Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every week, we do free open office hours for co-living. It is a great space to come on. Even if you're just getting started, you don't have to say anything. Just hop on, listen. You're going to learn a little bit. But more importantly, you're going to see the people doing things. You could put your info in the chat, say, hey, I'm looking for properties here. Please connect with me. You can, I'll just say real quick, I'm sure we'll repeat it, but you can go to CoLivingsemestercom. When you get to our website, there's a yellow button in the middle. You just click on it. It's going to ask you for your email address. It's going to send you to an underwriting video and then also a free calculator you can download. That calculator actually has tabs. It's a spreadsheet with a bunch of tabs. And you can get access to our co-living office hours there as well. As I'm talking through this, I recognize I should make that a lot easier.
Awesome. Sorry. I had Jamil was like, Ingryd, because I'm doing a deal with him. I was like, I'm in the middle of my podcast.
Say hi. I just talked to him the other day. He's such a doll.
He's awesome. So we're closing a transaction this Friday, and they're trying to figure out, hey, what's this other thing that's a part of the transaction? I'm like, the TC fee?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're like, that's one of the many people that's helping the deal happen.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I want to make sure people know how to get here and how to navigate it. So I'm going to actually present, and that way we can actually see what you're talking about. Okay. So you said this is it, right? CoLivingSemeasters.com.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
I love it. So look at that. How crystal clear do you have to be to actually put it as a one-liner in your website? So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're giving out some underwriting training so that you guys know how to co-live. So do co-living. So technically, Tracy is even helping people and not even able to account for them, because she's giving you training. So if you go and use this and you don't tell her, hey, thanks so much, Tracy, for this, I was able to get my first co-living, she may actually be undervaluing how much she's actually helping. So interesting.
Well, when you click on that, though, we capture your email address. So it is helpful. We've got a great team member that we're working on actually creating. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see little individual boxes for each thing. And so they're not clickable yet, but one of the things we like about it is, I think if you go a little bit further, there you go. So ideally this will move up to the top and you can click on specific things that you want to learn about. And that's going to help us learn, what do people need? You know, if more people are clicking on the ebook than they are the underwriting video, then we know that, okay, let's put more time and attention into creating a second ebook or that kind of thing. There's my partners in crime.
So Dustin Jarosky?
Yeah.
And then Kaipo Cordeira.
That's right.
All right. Isn't he in Hawaii?
He actually lives in Arizona, but he is from Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he lives right down the road from where you're at. Yeah, great guy. Yeah.
This is a wonderful website, by the way. I love your landing page.
Thank you. Will Castillo is our team member. I call him the funnel master because he creates all the back end funnels. He does all the stuff. We met him in Owners Club as well. Just terrific guy. We're super grateful.
Fantastic. And so part of this is email capturing, which is important. If you want to run your business like a business, knowing how to market to your audience means you need a way to stay connected. So very, very good, Tracy. I love this. And so you can join your community, book a call, or do the free underwriting training. That's fantastic. I freaking love it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course. My pleasure. Thank you for having something really wonderful to share.
I had nothing to do with it except for just, having an awesome team.
Awesome. Okay. Well, wonderful. So Simone was asking, so what if bird dogging isn't like the right fit for you, which by the way, bird dogging isn't the most best fit for what I'm focused on either, to be frank, because I want people to be able to think for themselves. And sometimes with bird dogging activities, you're only pointing out things and you may not actually be taking the next step in your level of understanding of actually underwriting or comping, and I feel like it's a great way to get started with people who have the bandwidth to kind of coach you through that bird dogging. But not necessarily the right person for that.
Yeah. Yeah. We feel the same way. Yeah. And I think, if you are bird dogging, in my opinion, put in the time and effort to learn how to underwrite well and lean back on the person that's brought you the deal, right? So do the underwriting. If you have questions and it doesn't jive with what they're saying, lean back on that wholesaler and say, hey, can you help me walk through this? Because I have a few people I think might be interested, but I want to be able to feel confident when I share this deal with them, right? That it is a deal. Because, I typically don't work with bird doggers because what I see hasn't been vetted and it's just doesn't really fit, right? But
yeah, it feels like wasted time, and one of the most valuable things we have is time. So I agree with you. But again, I think if you're exploring bird dogging, it does work for some strategies.
Yes.
And what we're saying for what we're focused on, Tracy and myself, it doesn't always work. So
yeah, I mean, especially for co-living, because one, you already have to know how to underwrite a property well. Then you have to take into account all the specialty areas that co-living calls out, right? And so, Dustin and I have spent well over a year just focused on co-living. We spent hours and hours underwriting every week, underwriting co-living deals. We do it for ourselves. We do it on our free office hours. We post it up on, YouTube videos. So to teach somebody that is just really tough. Yeah. So that's why we do the office hours. If you do want to learn how to bird dog specifically for co-living, hop on our office hours because you're going to find really easily. You're going to be able to practice and learn that way. And you can DM me on Instagram at Tracy Koa. Just say office hours. We'll send you the link for the office hours. That's probably the easiest way to get to the office hours.
Super. And then here's her CoLivingsEmeasters.com. So you guys have it for reference. Very, very good. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about these specialties. I'm sure this is what the people want. When we get to co-living, so I just bought my first co-living. No, excuse me. It's technically my second. My first one was just so effortless. I feel kind of like, sorry guys, it was kind of easy. It was kind of great. And I have a great partner. So Marlon Johnson is my business partner on that property where, it's $1 million house. So it does not serve the co-living, I think, that you and I may be now going to talk about.
Right.
It's like a professional co-living house where you have people who have professional jobs or are aspiring entrepreneurs. So we had to create amenities that would attract somebody to pay a more premium rent to live there. So our house has a podcast room. It has a gym. It has a pool, a hot tub, a fire pit. It has spaces for people like to work from where they don't have to feel like they're on top of each other. It already came with 6 bedrooms, 2 of them which have their own bathrooms, and then the 4 bedrooms upstairs, it's 2 bedrooms to 1 assigned bathroom. So a lot of privacy. And then it's like a 4-car garage. I can go on. It's a great property.
I love that.
And so we were able to charge a much more premium rent. So it's not necessarily an affordability addressing kind of property. It's more of like, that's why we call it the mindset manor. It's about like getting your mind right, having your right environment to go after those big goals. The co-living that we're now talking about is more of like the blue collar co-living, right? Where it's like, hey, right now affordability is such an issue that I have to be able to get up, go fix, go to work and like be able to not end up on the streets, but I still have a job. I have to be able to afford to live. So I call these blue collar co-living spaces just because the one I have is white collar co-living in the Gilbert home. So, what are some of those specialties about co-living that you think is important for people to understand from the get-go?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the biggest barriers that Dustin and I saw, which was part of what really pushed us to create a business model that included supporting other investors, is the funding, right? And so the funding is the same but different. So you can buy a home, just a good old-fashioned home, and maybe it needs a little sprucing up, and you have to convert the room. So you can get traditional debt service, a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio loan, to purchase that house. And you can just pretend it's going to be a regular rental, and you go to your debt service provider and you say, yep, I'm buying this rental property. I'm going to rent it out as a long-term rental or short-term rental, whatever the case may be that you need to make the numbers work. And then you close on it, and now you need more money. So you needed money to put down, probably 20%, maybe 15 if you have experience. And now you've closed, and now you need more money because you need to do the conversion to turn it into co-living. Okay, so most people, what we've been taught is, no problem, I'm going to go get a private money loan. Okay, how are you going to pay back your private money loan? You're not, because you can't refinance. You just closed on the deal, right? So you're kind of doing it a little bit backwards. So that's where you need a partner. You need a private money partner or an equity partner, somebody that's willing to come in with the money for a longer period of time. Those are harder to find. Those tend to be more relational, right? A private money lender is like, yeah, I kind of know you, but I'm really more just looking at the deal because I'm going to be in and out in 6 months. Private money or equity partner, you're in this together 3-5 years, maybe even the entire length that you hold the property. So that requires a couple of things in my experiences. One, more relationships, more people, people that also understand real estate a little bit, maybe a little bit more than just a private money lender, because they're going to be a partner with you, right? And they're going to be probably on your operating agreement, or you're going to have a JV agreement. They're probably going to have some voting rights. And so you really want to make sure that you jive and you're cool to like hang out together and own real estate together for a period of, I say 3 to 5 years, for a couple of reasons. One, it takes a couple of years for your property to stabilize and for you to be build up enough equity or appreciation to refinance. But primarily, most debt service loans you take out with either a 3 or a 5 year prepayment penalty, which means if you go to refi under 3 or 5 years, you're going to be paying a penalty. So you don't want to do that. We tend to say to our equity partners, guys, we're going to hold this for probably 5 years. At 3, 4, we're going to start to evaluate the market. We're going to evaluate the asset and see what we want to do. And then we decide together as a partnership, down the road what we want to do with that asset.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, that's a big piece that like stumps people.
So that stumps people because they're not sure, like, where's all this money coming from?
Yeah, maybe they don't have the relationships yet, or they don't even understand yet what an equity partnership is. Like, we met a lot of folks where we talk about that and they're like, gosh, I don't even know what that is, right? I wouldn't know how to set up the paperwork, or I wouldn't even know how to structure that, or I wouldn't know how to structure the deal. That's the second barrier is, one, now I know I need partners, right? So this is even before I'm looking for real estate. You should be thinking money. Where's the money coming from, right? With any real estate project, you need to know how to raise capital. Well, in order to raise capital, you need to know how to underwrite the deal, not only underwrite it, but then also present it to people. So in order to present it, you need to understand it really well. So now you go, okay, I know I need money. Great. How do I present this project? How do I underwrite it so that I'm making money, my partner's making money, it's appealing to a partner, right? What do those splits look like? Am I splitting, the equity and the cash flow the same, or am I giving the partner more cash flow and less equity, or they get, there's a lot of ways that you can structure a deal.
Yeah,
that's the second place, right? So now what we have is folks are like, typically we see people do it backwards. They show up on our office hours. They're like, hey, I found this cool house. Can you help me? And we're like, great. So we go through some of the checkoffs, which, guys, please go to our website, CoLivingsEmeasters.com. Take advantage of our resources. We have spent a lot of time and money. We've had our ebook professionally written, which will support you with all the steps. If you're in the sub 2 community, we've got 8 hours of sub 2 semesters on co-living, all our resources. We spent a lot of time. So I'll go through a couple of those things, right? So you're looking for a house in a class B neighborhood with mostly rentals. You don't want to have the majority of the people being homeowners. You want the majority of the people to be renters. Absolutely no HOA. I beg you. I don't care how good of a deal. Please don't do an HOA. Just don't do it. Once you get savvy and you know what you're doing, you can then make a more educated decision on whether that property could potentially work. But out of the gate, please don't do that. We like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 1,500, 1,700 square feet. We prefer 2. It could work 1,700 square feet. I like 2, but if you just plug in 2 when you're doing your, when you're pulling your list, you might miss on some homes that have a potential because they have a really large garage or they've got an ADU in the back that's just not counted. So if I'm pulling a list, I usually use Deal Sauce. I'll start it at 1,500. We love 3 or 4 bedrooms. You want, at a bare minimum, 1 bathroom for 4 people. We like to go 1 bath, 3 people, because the more comfortable the home is, the longer your residents will stay, right? If you're sharing a bathroom with 4 people all the time, it's before you know it, you're over it and you're looking for somewhere else to live. Love the extras, like a formal dining room that can be converted, a den that can be converted, a big master bedroom that has a really large walk-in closet, where maybe you can reconfigure that master bedroom and have turn it into 2 bedrooms with smaller closets. Those are just sort of just some of the quick things that we talk about. Parking is another one. Huge issue. Parking is probably the number one thing that is going to piss off your neighbors, right? Too many cars. So you also want to look for a place that there is either already a lot of parking or enough parking, or the capacity to add more parking, right? Extending the driveway. But then if you're in sub 2, we go in depth, 8 hours of in-depth conversation on how do you find and underwrite co-living. You can go to CoLivingsEmeasters.com and get all of our resources for free. So please, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. So I just bought mine creatively.
Love it.
Are you guys buying them creatively, or are you buying them like through cash? And like, what are some of your like instant like numbers? So for example, I have Jamil here, right? Jamil's also a CoLiving investor. He's like, Ingryd, 1,800 square feet, 250 grand, 1 story near a bus stop. I'm game. I'm like, wow, that's really easy and fast. And obvious. The no HOA is obvious for blue collar co-living.
Yes.
For my white collar co-living,
totally
it's an HOA. Yeah, it's an HOA. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's the opposite. Like the neighbors actually like to see the Mercedes pull into the driveway and like, all the very different. But if you're serving, like our mission is to serve the people that serve us every day, the people that are making my coffee at the Starbucks, the people that are checking me out at the grocery store, the folks that are helping me, service my car. Like that's, but we always say it doesn't matter who you're serving in co-living, whether you're serving folks that are wanting to build a business and looking for a more entrepreneurial space, or you're helping blue collar workers, you're helping people, because housing is a challenge for everybody. I don't care how. I'm looking to move back to California, and no matter how much money I make, it is still going to be a struggle to live in California. So like if you had this house in California, I would be all over that. Okay, Grit, I would be like, yep.
Well, it's in Arizona. It's right next to California. Close enough, Tracy. Come on over.
I'm a surfer girl. Once you guys get an ocean, which probably won't be too long, like once California falls off the
for real.
But yeah. So I would say just what Jamil said, right? Like 1,800 square foot, perfect number. We go no HOA just for that reason. Yeah, same thing. Population. Bus stops are huge. Bus stops, the crazy thing about a bus stop is you can actually go, most cities and counties, they've got their transportation department. Their websites are usually pretty stellar. You can actually see on their website where they are building out new bus stops. What that tells us right there is they've spent the money to do the research. Now I know where the city thinks their growth is going to be. Guess what? That's where I'm looking for a house.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, even these boarding houses, these co-living houses, they also serve a community who oftentimes is like they've graduated from like sober living. And
Yes.
so, but they don't have a car yet. So having
Yeah.
that bus stop, yeah, you're helping so many people in so many ways. I love
Yeah.
it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
Okay. Fantastic. And then if somebody wanted to invest with you, I know you're also working through like fractional raises, right? So
Yeah.
is that something you're still raising in or?
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. Yeah, we raise, oh, and your question, you asked cash or, so we do a little bit of everything. We're really just about looking at the deal and does it make sense? Is it going to support our investors and ourselves? Can we all come out ahead? And is it going to help the community at large, wherever it's located? We've got 3 cash deals under our belt. Our 4th one we're looking at right now is going to be a sub 2. So we're really open. But at the end of the day, you're still looking at money for conversion. And that's where I really want to just, really just remind folks, if you're getting involved in real estate, whatever type of real estate, you need to learn how to raise capital. You need to learn how to build relationships with people with money that also have a similar vision as you do, because sub 2 is great. We'll get a real low entry fee, but we'll still need quite a bit of money to do the conversion. So we'll still be bringing in equity partners on that project. But we raise privately sometimes on certain projects, and we raise some of them through fractional funding. Probably the best way is DM me at Tracy Koa. And if you're interested in investing with us, just let me know. And I'll have Kaipo does all of our investor relations. So I'd probably just have him reach out to you and get on a quick call and figure out, we're really interested in, if you're an investor, what is your goal and how can we serve your goal, right? We may not be the right fit at the right time. We had a wonderful gal a couple weeks ago wanted to invest, and she really had like FOMO, right? And she was like, I really want to do this, but she was getting married, and she needed some of that money. She wanted to fly. They're getting married in China, wanted to fly some of her friends and family that live in the States to China. And I said, girl, look, we will have another project like this in no time. Use what you have so you can just take a breath. Like, don't stress. Get your wedding done, get your family. You're going to bank at the wedding. You're going to come back from the wedding with more money than you spent to get people there. So you'll have re-upped your funds and you can reinvest then, and don't like spread yourself thin. So we really want to make sure that our investors, we've got similar goals, similar visions, similar ethics. That's really important to us. We're about people over profit. So I don't want somebody to invest with me that's mad at me that I want to fix an air conditioner instead of, making an extra $500 this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just come on board. Go to at Tracy Koa on Instagram or YouTube. Pardon me, that is YouTube, but Facebook, Instagram, DM me, and we'll get you hooked up with Kaipo, and he'll walk through our projects and see if we're a good fit for each other.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. I love it.
Cool.
So, do you have a specific milestone you're trying to reach this year in terms? So you've done 3, you're getting a 4th one probably locked down. Like, how long does it take for you to like buy these properties, do what you need to do to them, stabilize them, and then kind of move forward from that one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have a couple different models, and partly because we want to make sure that we can show our investors all the different ways. So we've got one of them is just a traditional house, but fortunately it was already rehabbed, and we're converting it, just chopping it up and putting the walls up. That was purchased with, traditionally with a DSCR loan. Then we purchased a pre-existing pad split that was already up and running, so cash flowing out of the gate, but it needs a lot of work. So there'll still be some rehab that happens there. So let me back up. Sorry. So the one that needs the rehab, the traditional one, we're estimating about 1.5 to 2 months, but that's because it's already been rehab. So it's in beautiful shape. We're just doing the conversion. Again, we've got a team. We have a project manager. I don't do any of this, right? I have a project manager. He walks the property beforehand. I have the vision, and Dustin and I are like, yep, like this. We have our property manager walk it. He's like, yep, nope. We decide if it's a go, we get it under contract. Then they come in like the day we close, next day they're in, and we're working away. So that'll be a quick one. Usually takes, and again, this is all area specific. If you don't already have an account with PadSplit, I highly recommend you get a host account with PadSplit. It's totally free. Lean on their market analysis. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing market analysis, right? So why not use it? It's free. You can see on their website how many days to fully booked or how many days to 80% booked a zip code is. So in this particular zip code, it's like 8 days to 80%. So we know once we're done and we start booking, we should be by the end of 30 days fully booked on this property, right? The pre-existing one, it's already got people in there, but this particular one, a couple of folks were late, so we know we're gonna have a little dance with them to like get them, back on board and or find new tenants. Plus we have a little work to do, but we don't have to move anybody out. Other project, one of the projects is brand new build. So that's a whole different ball of wax, right? We purchased the lot. We've got our contractor. As soon as the lot closed, boom, plans that same day went, to the city and county. As we all know, Lord have mercy, like it's new build, right? We've talked to lots of references of people that our contractor has built for and worked with. So everything from 4 months to 6 months. So somewhere, 6 months is probably more realistic. And then that'll probably take a month-ish to be probably 80%.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so all of your projects are still fairly new is what I'm hearing, right? Like you're really, because what you had to get first crystal clear on what your goals were, and then here's what you're moving forward.
Yes. In this particular business. Now we have other co-living properties outside of this business. Yeah. So this was just, Dustin and I have other projects together. I have lots of other real estate on my own. Dustin has other real estate on his own, co-living as well. So this is just the first projects that we're doing together with our new business and our new team.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was like, wow, this sounds like it's just getting off the ground. So, okay, that makes a lot more sense then.
Good question. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are maybe, I know we have about 10 minutes left. I'm just curious, what are some of the things you kind of have to be prepared for from the get-go as you start preparing to have a co-living house? And that, for me, it's selfish question. One of the things that we always forget is getting the utilities turned on. Whenever we get a flip or a new property, I'm like, oh, that's right, I got to go get utilities on. Because when you do long-term rentals, somebody else is paying for utilities, so you're like, oh, that's right, I own this property and I have to go get those utilities.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a great question. So I would say a couple of things are, we absolutely always use a property manager. Granted, we want to scale, but even before I was in this partnership, all of my properties have a property manager. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to manage my properties. I don't want to know that the toilet's leaking. I have no desire to know, but I want to know that if my tenant calls and says the toilet's leaking, it gets fixed immediately. That's important for me. So if you don't want to fix the toilet yourself, or if you don't want to call plumbers fixing the toilet, you need a property manager. That should be your very first thing. I would interview them. I would talk to them. They're all very, very different. We want our property manager to feel confident that they have the capacity to make decisions as they see fit. So they have a threshold they can spend. Usually it's $500. I don't need to hear from you unless it's above $500. You're going to submit the invoice to my bookkeeper. My bookkeeper is going to run the show, and she'll let me know if there's a problem, right? So now maybe you don't have a bookkeeper yet. That's okay. You don't need to have a bookkeeper yet, but you do need a relationship with a property manager if you're not going to do it yourself. So I think that's key. Not all property managers want to manage co-living. So that's the other ticket, right? You need to start reaching out and finding out, will these people manage co-living? We always use PadSplit. That's our business model. They are marketers. That's what they do. That's their whole business strategy. They market, and they've created a really cool model of how you can have a lease structure That's a membership model versus a lease, right? And so that helps when you're getting involved in co-living. Most cities and counties cap the number of people that you can have that are unrelated in a home.
Mm-hmm.
Padsplit has created this model that kind of helps mitigate that. We had a property in Orlando where there was parking issues. One of the neighbors called us in, and next thing you know, the city's like, how many people do you have living here? We were able to show the Padsplit member agreement, not lease, but member agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that made the city go, oh, okay. And we dealt with the parking. We came up with a creative way to we actually rent parking spaces from the neighbors to mitigate the parking issue. Right. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah. So I would say, like, get your ducks in a row first, right? Don't spend your time. I'm not saying don't look for real estate. Look for real estate and practice underwriting, because you should be doing that. If you're in real estate and you're not underwriting properties every day, you're missing the boat. Like every day, look at a property, look at a property, look at a property. But build those relationships. Property managers, huge. Padsplit, build a rapport with the rep. You don't have to use them, but they're full of knowledge. Things like utilities are going to be huge. Also recognize that you're going to own and hold the property. Utilities are going to be in your name. A lot of utility companies, they're going to ask you for your credit score. They're going to run your credit. Like, know those things. Reach out to the county, or pardon me, the utility companies, and find that stuff out. If your credit score is kind of wonky, which it happens in real estate, you might need to bring somebody on. You might have one of your equity partners. This is what we do. We have credit sponsors. One of the roles and responsibilities of the credit sponsor is putting the utilities in their name. They're already, we know you have good credit because that's how you're being a credit sponsor. That's your participation in the project, is your good credit score. So I can't have 500 properties and have debt in my name on all those and the electricity in my name on all those, right? So how do you grow and scale without using your own credit? And that's one way. So yeah. Utilities are huge. People can't get utilities turned on. I know people that have bought real estate to hold for co-living, and they can't get the utilities turned on their name because they don't have money for deposit. By the way, money for deposit, and they don't have good credit. So they got it on too, low entry fee, and now they're like, oh, shoot, I don't have money to fix it up, and I can't even get the power to.
I have a really great question by maybe it's Rye Zemainly. I'm not sure. It's from Instagram. So, like, people's names get squished into one.
Yeah.
So they're asking, what happens when you need to refinance and the walls are up and the house is technically categorized as a single family home? So how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, there are lenders. So when we buy our pre-existing Padsplits, the one we just closed on about a week and a half ago, and we're looking at one right now, although the one we're looking at now will probably be sub 2. But there are lenders out there that will give you a loan on a pre-existing Padsplit. There's not a lot. There's just a couple. At the moment, what they're looking for is a year, 12 months of profit, consistent profit. But they're not using those numbers for the loan. They're still going to use the long-term rent rates for the actual, for what they're going to give you on the loan, but you can get that. So that's what you would be looking for. You would just refinance into, it's a 30-year debt service loan, but it's for pre-existing Padsplits. And so you can DM me at Tracy Koa if you have a project like that already and you're looking to get refinanced, or you're thinking of buying. One of the nice things about these pre-existing, if they've been up and running for a year, which this one was, we were able to use their income as proof of income. So yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I genuinely think that this is going to be kind of like Airbnb. When Airbnb got really popular, there was no financing for it. There wasn't. Yeah. So a lot of expectations were just like what you said. They only use long-term rents. And I think as we socialize and this becomes a way that, like, for example, out here in Arizona, the city of Buckeye and the city of Tolleson, they want more affordable housing, and they were very public in some what do you call the articles that one of my business partners, Dr. Noe Carranza, he sent it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like they need affordable housing. Yeah. And so There's some cities in Arizona who understand that this is a necessity for their citizens to be able to live and breathe and eat and all the good stuff. They need shelter.
Yeah.
And so they understand that some of us are going to be using our own resources to be able to serve our fellow men. So now there's some other cities who are not so great. And so, for example, the city of Mesa out here in Arizona may not be great for co-living. They've actually given a couple of investors that I know a super, super hard time. So make sure that you understand how some municipalities see co-living and what could be potential challenges so that you're not putting yourself in a bind.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. True.
Yeah. Well, very good. Pansy asked the question is, why isn't the utilities in the business name? I think that really just matters on the municipality. So, for example, my property is under our LLC. However, they want to see a person's name. And so they don't care about who the business is because it's not a commercial space. It's still a residential space. So expect a person to be attached to it.
Yeah. Some of them don't. Like, all of our utilities are in our LLC names for all of my rental properties, but they still want to see somebody's driver's license, somebody's social security number. So some actual physical owner, has to. Not all of them, but most. That's been my experience.
Yeah, we have the city of Phoenix out here in Arizona is a really tough one to get utilities going. Like, they want to see settlement statements. They want to see operating agreement. Yeah. It's really crazy. I'm like, really? I want to pay you for this. So I get it.
Decatur, Atlanta, we just had, our tenants went 4 days without water.
Wow.
And we started the process a week before we had closed. I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it just really depends on your municipality and where they're putting their tax dollars to work. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, Tracy, this was a great pleasure. And I love how much information you have. You're packaged up, man. She's got her funnel ready for you guys. So make sure you're going to CoLivingsEmeasters.com to get the information that you want. That's way more nuanced, way more calculated. Especially if you're looking to grow in this space of co-living. So, and then Tracy, I think as you mentioned, they can go see you on Instagram at Tracy Koa. Tracy Koa.
At Tracy Koa. That's Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
And LinkedIn. I love it.
Everywhere.
Well, I think I'll see you in a couple of weeks in Monterey.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I love talking about co-living. Guys, if you're watching and I can support you in any way, do not hesitate to reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being a go-giver and really having a vision big enough so that anybody who really is passionate about this can really join you in that journey. So I appreciate you so much. Well, guys, this has been the Explain It podcast. We are here every Wednesday from 1 p.m. Arizona to 2 p.m. Arizona. We are live. And one of our favorite things is for you guys to be in the chat, interact with us, ask the questions that you want. So we will catch you guys next week. Next week, I will be live from Monterey, and we're going to have Philip Ty, who's also an Owners Club member, talking about business buying. So I'm excited about next week too. So Tracy, thank you so much for being here with us. Really appreciate you. Thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.